Oh, I appreciate you letting me know. Am I back? My sound is back on. Hope we did that relatively quickly. Okay, we're back on. Sorry about that, everybody. So, there's a way to do this, right? So, with lender paid closing cost, with lender paid closing cost, there's typically like a portion that they could do. I would say like maybe it's like $4,000 or whatnot that they could do in lender paid closing costs. Now they could also write it on top of. You can also have seller paid, and then you could do a combination of all of these. And then of course the other one is the buyer pays their own closing costs. Now more and more VA buyers are in a situation to where right now it's a combination of the seller paying, or no, excuse me, a combination of the lender paying some and the buyer paying some. So like maybe the lender can roll $4,000 into the rate, and the buyer is able to take $4,000 to the table. If it is a buyer's market, then you'd be in a situation to where you'd be able to ride the closing cost, which means that you're confident in the appraisal value, and you could ask the seller to do that. And in fact, that would be kind of, so this would be riding the closing costs and asking the seller to pay for the closing costs is something that you could do in a buyer's market. Whereas, these are how all my classes turn out. And then, can you believe that this is the second time that I've thought this? I did this for the high school students too, and it's just as bad, just as unorganized. And then in a seller's market, you're going to have more of a combination of the lender paying some of the closing costs and the buyer paying some of the closing costs. And so that's something that we're going to talk about here when we get down to the buyer's estimated cost. We'll talk about this a little bit more, so I'll leave this up on the board. Okay, so all of that to say that there's about 2%, it might be more, 2.5% in closing cost. So for a house at 500,000, $10,000 in closing costs kind of excessive. I'd say probably about $8,000 in closing costs is about what you're going to see. 10,000 is a little much, unless it is a VA loan. They're using it a second time and they don't have a VA disability rating. So if you have a VA loan and you have a disability rating, like you've gotten out of the military of 0% or more, you can actually reuse your VA loan without having the additional $5,000 funding fee, versus the situation that you'll end up where if you have the disability rating, you don't have the extra 5,000. So I say on average, you're looking at about 8,000, maybe more, $8,000 to $9,000 in closing costs that you're looking at for your average loan at 500,000, unless it is a second VA with no disability, right? So like they're active. Oh, we're already over here. Holy smokes. Okay. Does that all make sense? Okay. We're telling me in class that makes sense. So really what you're going to do is 220,000, that's the payout, right? Minus, $8,000 to $9,000 if they end up in a situation where they're paying all of somebody's closing costs, which is very unlikely in a market like this one. So just kind of have an idea of that. So the quick way to do it is just, hey, it's the estimated sales price minus 6%, which is the total cost of commissions plus escrow and title fees, minus the amount that they owe to the bank is about what they're going to make, minus any closing costs that they might end up paying, which and this is where you advise them on the market, which in a market like this, you're not going to be in a situation like that, more than likely. Or you probably are, or this is the importance of having a good agent. So like a lot of people will say, oh, well, I have somebody that's willing to do this at 4%, right? So this is like an objection over, oh, I have someone who's willing to do it at 4% because they don't value themselves. And I'll say, okay, so listen, so 4%, and I understand that that's how much that they think that they're worth, that's their thing. But I am worth 5%. I also value the buyer's agent's time. I know that in this market, people can look at your house or a million other houses. People don't want to go see a house with a reduced commission. And I also, as a professional, I want to have the courtesy and respect for other people in this industry that are driving around, paying for gas with people that have been in multiple offer situations again and again. I want to make sure that they're feeling like they are incentivized to come to the table, your table specifically, versus somebody else's table. So the idea here is well, what's 1% of 500,000? It's $5,000. So if they are not as skilled of a negotiator as I am, my team is, et cetera, and so forth, then do you think that I can make up the difference? Do you think that I'm worth $5,000 more? If I just get you in a situation to where you're not paying closing costs, or I get you to in a waived appraisal situation, or whatever, et cetera, and so forth, I get your rent back. Is that worth $5,000? Is that worth it to you? If not, go with the discount agent. If I'm worth it, then I'm worth 5%. Now that being said, like I said, I do not negotiate my commission at this point. I don't even talk about it. It's 5%. That's what it is, and I tell people that's what I'm worth. I have way too many clients. I've met way too many people over the years, and I never want anyone in a situation where they felt like they did not they got a different deal than everybody else, that I duped them, because that's not what I do. That's not my job. My service is this much, period, right? Okay, anyway, and if I can't protect my commission, you think I'm going to drop the ball for you? You think I'm going to be able to protect your home, the largest accumulation of your net worth that you currently probably have in your life? Like, there's a lot of money tied up in your house, and who do you want to protect it? All right, that's that. Hiya, hiya, hiya. We're going to talk about the buyer's estimated cost, which we kind of just did. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's do it. Let's start over. Everybody's like, here we go. Hands up. Woo! All right, buyer's estimated cost. Now, of course, we talked about closing costs. That's a huge part of it. The closing costs are going to be, like we said, for a $500,000 home, it's going to be about $8,000 or $9,000. So let's just say $8,000. And there's a number of ways that you can do that. In a buyer's market, like I said, you could write it on top, or you can have the seller pay it. And then also in a seller's market, we're probably going to need to get a lender that can help roll some of that into your rate, and then we're going to need to see what you can do. Are you in a situation to where like you have any money right now? Et cetera. Like, you just have to have these sort of real conversations with people, because right now the sort of like zero down possibility is very difficult, depending on what you're looking for, how hard you're willing to work. I'm in a situation to where we're working on creating inventory for our clients, which means that we're looking for unlisted inventory. We're looking for people who are looking to sell their house without all of the extra hassle of having a bunch of people through that are leaving the state anyway, that know what their house is worth, and are just looking for somebody willing to pay fair market value, and then maybe offer them a rent back or agreeable terms, et cetera, and so forth. In that situation, of course, where we're representing both sides and it's like that easy, and where we've found both parties, I will reduce my commission from 5 to 4 if I'm representing both sides. And if it's me and some member of my team, I'm not going to go into their pocket and then make it so that my team and my brokerage doesn't want to show our brokerage listings. That doesn't make sense, right? They've got their own family, I've got my family. And so if it's my family, I personally made the deal happen, then we reduce. If it's somebody that went out and made the deal happen and me, then we keep it at 5%. And then they're represented by that agent. I am representing the sellers. And then everybody still maintains their due diligence to their clients, et cetera, and so forth. Okay, closing costs, about $8,000, like I just said. And then once you get into escrow, you're going to need to pay for the appraisal unless your lender does it for you. A lot of good lenders are paying for appraisals for their buyers, so that they're not in a situation where if the house isn't appraised and they need to walk away, they're not eating $400 out of the deposit. They're going to need a deposit, which, people say, oh, it's 1% of the cost of the home. That's horse crap. I've had people do, $2,000 or $3,000. The truth is people don't want to be in a situation to where we're not closing on the home. They want to close on the home. They don't want to seize the earnest money deposit. And so, and also, I'm getting 100% of my earnest money deposit refunded to my clients at close of escrow because my lenders pay the appraisal. So it doesn't matter what that number is. No one's going to touch it. We're going to close on this house because my clients want the house. Period. And also, it's almost like 100. It is 100% impossible to touch a earnest money deposit for a VA FHA loan because of the VA FHA mandatory clause. In addition, if you're respecting the contingency periods, and so I'll put 1% right here. But like I said, $2,000 will do it. $3,000 will do it. If you're in an Orange County market, they might want to see a little bit more cash out of hand. But like I said, a lot of that is in the negotiation. It's in, hey, listen, are we really going to get in the situation to where you guys want to take the earnest money deposit? No, because we're going to close. And this is when we're going to close. This is how we're going to close. We're already so grateful that you're accepting our offer, right? Okay, earnest money deposit. The buyer does not pay for the termite report. The seller does typically, right? The buyer does not pay for home repairs that are being done unless they're doing it after they move in. What else here? They're paying for the home inspection. What'd you say a home inspection is, Amy? Like freaking $350? Okay, so and we're actually going to have a home inspection class taught here a little bit later by Zachary Pitts of A Better Home Inspection. So that will be a whole nother course. So $8,000 in closing costs, and of course, there's a number of ways that they can split that. But they may end up needing to take $4,000 at the table, right? A $400 appraisal, that's going to come out of the earnest money deposit. And then a home inspection. So I would tell them, hey, listen, right now, in order to be competitive in this market, we really can't ask for a seller to pay for your closing costs, which means we're going to need a lender in on it with us, which means that you're probably going to have to take $4,000 at the table in order to get it to close, realistically. And then also, you're going to have to pay for an earnest money deposit, which in my market, you could expect about $2,000, $2,500 maybe, but you're going to get 100% of that back. And we will put it in writing when we're removing contingencies, these are what contingencies are, et cetera, and so forth. You're going to get that money back when we close escrow. Out of that, they're going to pay for the appraisal unless you work with the lender who's going to pay for your appraisal. Good morning. Feel free to come on in. Unless you pay for somebody unless you have someone who charges you the appraisal. Here we go, right here. So like I said, a lender is going to do that, so don't necessarily worry about that. Also, if you don't work with a good lender, they might take that out of the here, et cetera, and so forth. So really, I would say in this market where we are right now, realistically for a VA loan, and that's 90% of our clients, you're looking at about, and of course, the earnest money deposit also can be part of the closing cost. That's an important thing here. They'll actually you can apply that to the closing cost if you want, but then you're not going to get that $2,000 back. This all sounds very complicated. Okay, so I would say the idea here is $6,000 plus $350 for the home inspection, or $4,000 if you don't want to get $2,000 back. So realistically, to buy a home in this market, your money out of pocket that you're looking at for a $500,000 home to move in, to get for closing costs and everything, for your average VA buyer, you're looking at $4,350, give or take, right? $4,350. The $4,000 will go towards their closing costs. They won't end up getting that back. It will also cover their earnest money deposit, the money that they stand to lose during that period. So, in a buyer's market, you'll get the earnest money deposit back. In a seller's market, it's probably, you're going to apply that earnest money deposit towards your closing cost. $2,000 earnest money deposit will be up front. You'll need that, right? And then you'll need to take an additional $2,000 to the table in order to close. So there's time for you to start accumulating this stuff. So in order to open escrow, hey, we're going to need $2,000, and then we're going to need another $350 for the inspection. But then we're going to need another $2,000 in order to close, at the closing table unless we're able to get that seller paid, we're able to write it, et cetera, and so forth. This is one of those reasons why it's good to have sort of like a buyer's consultation to really explain this sort of stuff to them, but most importantly that you know it so that you're not saying, hey, listen, it's a VA no-no for a reason, and it's because you're not having to pay anything ever. Good morning, Zach Block. You have to be realistic about the kind of market that you're in, what the expectations are, what they're going to need to be competitive, et cetera, and so forth. Okay, did I break that down pretty effectively? I feel like that's done. This is done. Let's talk about making an offer. So, of course, there are different types of loans. We've already talked about this class. We did the VA loan, the FHA loan, the conventional loan. We talked about the USDA loan, which is the no money down, sort of like farmers USDA type, area where for more rural areas. That being said, there are parts of Central Park that still qualify for USDA. So there's a lot of different. There are first-time home buyer programs for FHA that you could tap into. There's all sorts of things that you could do in order to limit some of the out-of-pocket cost and make it a little bit more affordable for your buyers. Now, that being said, when it comes time to make an offer, let's go right back to that $500,000 home that we keep talking about, okay? So for a $500,000 home, what are we going to need to do to be competitive? Well, in this market, you're going to have to offer $600,000. I'm just kidding. That's a joke, kind of.
And your second one.
And, maybe a child, maybe an arm, maybe a leg. No, I'm kidding. There are things that you can do to get creative with this offer. And in fact, one of the best things that a VA buyer can do who is cash poor is to offer an extended rent back. I felt that coming for a long time, and I've been trying to battle it off. Good night. I've got my dad's sneeze that hurts my throat when I'm okay. All right, $500,000. One of the best things that you could do for a VA offer, and in fact, I'm going to put this on the side notes. Call me about this. Come in and talk to me about this. Doing a free 60-day rent back. One of the things that you can do with a VA loan is they do not have to occupy in the first 60 days of buying the house. And so a lot of people are going to offer $10,000 above asking. They're going to go nuts. But this technically for the seller is worth, let's say, an additional $5,000 if it's $2,500 a month. But as a VA buyer, you're not paying for a mortgage for typically the first 45 to 60 days after you fund it. So offering a free 60-day rent back. Did you have something that you wanted to add? Go for it.
So I had a listing. We had a ton of offers on it, and what actually won this listing was not price. We had offers that were higher, and this was one that I just closed a few weeks ago. But what it was my sellers, when they came to me, they said, Zach, the most important thing to us is not moving twice. We want to move directly from our house here in French Valley to our new house in Utah. And so they said, we want a rent back all the way till the end of October. And I was like, and I went in and I was like, guys, we're listing in January. That's a hell of a rent back. But what won was a free 3-month rent back, followed by a rent back all the way till October. And the offer was $20,000 less than our top offer. But that rent back was the most important thing to my sellers because they didn't want to move twice, and they recognized that them having to get a rental and having to do all this other stuff was going to be a pain in the butt. So it's not always price that will win an offer. It's terms, it's conditions, it's stuff like that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Zach. That's a great ad. And in fact, we just got a VA offer accepted for our clients that are they work down there in Camp Pendleton. One of them is a Marine, and what happened was. We, like you said, it was less than some of these other offers, but we were in a situation to where, because of how quickly we could close, we could put cash in hand, and because the sellers were actually there, they met them. It really ended up being a situation to where they feel good about who they're selling to. A Tidewater did come back, but because at that point we'd already performed so well on the loan, we were only a few days away from having to be able to get it closed. So anyway. It is not always about cash in hand, or like about cash down the road. It's about cash in hand, right? There's a really great story that I really love to tell, and it's about the parrot, or the bird in the window. Okay, this is a great story, the bird in the window. And this is what I love to tell this to my discouraged VA buyers, people that are really. So the bird in the window. We're going to take a little quick detour here, and then we'll get back to class. Now, a man walked by. Actually, I'm going to tell this in the first person. It's more fun that way. So I'm walking down the road, and here in the French Valley Village Plaza, and I look in the window, and there's this beautiful bird, but it's not that beautiful, right? So I walk in, and I go in, and I say, "Hey, excuse me, how much is the bird in the window?" Now, the person said it's $1 million, and I said, "Really? It's $1 million?" And they said, "Yep, it's $1 million, and I can tell you why. It's an exotic bird. It actually doesn't even like flying. It likes cuddling, or it's like whatever it is, whatever their sales pitch is. This is why it's $1 million. And then what happens? I go, listen, you're out of your mind. I don't even have $1 million. But so I leave that day. I'm walking by the next day, and I see, holy smokes, that bird in the window is gone. Somebody bought the bird in the window. So I run in, and I think maybe I got to find out what happened to this bird. I said, who bought that bird in the window that you were selling for $1 million? He goes, oh, I sold it. I can't tell you who I sold it to. Well, how much did you sell it for? Did you sell it for $1 million? And the guy says, no, I sold it for $180. You sold the bird in the window for that $1 million bird. And he goes, the guy made me an offer. It's like one of my favorite stories. The guy made me an offer. So sometimes you just have to start in. I'm like, here's the offer. This is what we're offering. This is exactly and so a 60-day rent back, what that does is it gives your sellers, right? So if I come in as a VA offer and I say, hey, listen, this is our offer. We're going to offer asking, $500,000. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a free 60-day rent back that's going to help you guys in your transition. Now, VA buyers are very flexible. Normally they're able to make it happen. They're able to kind of work it out. Now, what you do here is you offer that free 60-day rent back, and it empowers the seller in their purchase, because now instead of them putting in contingent offers on their next leg in Utah, in Florida, Arizona, wherever it is that they're going, in California, wherever it is, they're now in a situation where they are now cash buyers versus being offers who are contingent on selling a home in a different state. So there's always things that you can do to strengthen an offer that require a little bit of ingenuity that don't necessarily require cash in hand. So when you make that offer, the way that you structure it, of course, I'm not going to go over the residential purchase agreement at length because there are free classes for that, and this is not one of them. Residential purchase agreement, or the RPA. That's what you're going to need to fill out. And in that, you will be able to structure everything. If it is not in writing, it does not exist. Get everything in writing. Protect your clients. Cool? Awesome. Is this beginning to look like a mad scientist board yet? Good. That's how I like it. Accept an offer. Acceptance of an offer. Well, what happens is when you are getting ready to accept an offer, this is a great time to double back on that seller's net sheet. Okay, this is actually what, with this offer, with these clients closing on this day, exactly what you are going to make, right? And then what you do is, in order to get a really good seller's net sheet, the best person to go to is an escrow officer. A good escrow officer. Some escrow officers are garbage. And in fact, there are some really great ones in this valley that are really good. One of them is Lonnie Pike, who's great, and I love Lonnie. Another one is Kristen Gable. two really fantastic escrow officers because they have teams. They have people that they work with, and then Erica De Los Reyes is also another one that is going to be somebody who's worth. Okay. These are some of the best that I've worked with over the years. Oh, my 5-minute warning! Crap. Okay, so when you get when it's time to accept an offer, you no longer want to be in a situation to where you're talking about hypotheticals. You're talking about, oh well, this is what happens if, or this is what happens if that. This is what we're looking at. You want to get a new seller's net sheet. So that they know exactly what they expect to make before you accept the offer. You really want to make sure that they understand what is and is not conveying. Oh. So this is a big one, guys. This is one of like this could end up being huge. Anything attached conveys, but sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, what about the fridge? What about the appliances? What about the curtains? What about the, sometimes people will write furniture into the offer, but I'm not going to write that right now. Sometimes people have like a chandelier or a light fixture that is custom that, we don't realize what is important to them. Also, that's the worst question mark ever, Serpa. And then also lawn furniture. What about, is that little thing out there in the garage, is that attached? Are those built-ins attached? Because if they are, you might want to make sure that, that's written into the contract, because the last thing that you could do is, or the worst thing that you want to do is walk in for that final walkthrough and they're gone. So these are the kind of things that you want to make sure that that's all in the offer. You want to send the offer to your escrow officer if you're new and you want that at that point. If not, you can just kind of send them the details. Hey, this is what's up. This is exactly what we're looking at. And then they'll be able to send you a really quick seller's net sheet. If not, send them the entire RPA, and they'll be able to kind of look at it like, okay, this is the net sheet. This is what we're looking at. And then get escrow open. What's up, stud?
Excuse me.
How you doing, Marine?
Good, good.
We've got our sign getting wired up right now. I'm very excited about this. For those of you that are wondering, and those of you that want to know, we've got the information up on our website for how you can get a hold of Brian. We've also, I'll import it in the app as well. Okay, so when you get ready to accept an offer and it's time to send it out, I like to send out like an opening email. And on the opening email is escrow, title, the home warranty, the freaking home warranty, your transaction coordinator, everybody that needs to know when you're opening up. Oh, the buyer's agent. Like a lot of times people open up an escrow and they'll CC everybody except for the buyer's agent. You want to get everybody involved in that first round. Do not put your seller's information in there. They don't need to be in the opening introduction for all of that stuff. I'm kind of looking over it to see who else needs to be in there right away. And then what will happen is your TC will contact your home inspector. They'll sort of run point on the NHD, all of that different stuff. But you want to get them attached right away. So when you accept an offer, get that seller's net sheet. Figure out what is conveying. That's going to be really important. Really break it down. Let them know everything attached typically conveys. These are the appliances that they want to keep. And then when it comes time to open up escrow, you want to get escrow title, your home warranty, your TC, your buyer's agent, and their TC on that opening offer, opening email. That way everything gets going. And then the last thing that you really need in order to get that going and make it official, of course, confirmation of acceptance is important, but I want to get that escrow number. Because the second that I get that escrow number, that's day one, right? So if that's day one. That's when the 17 days on contingency starts going. and whether it's 2:30 in the afternoon or whether it's 9 o'clock in the morning. So I want to get that out to my escrow officer. I want to get that escrow number. I want to, and I want it going. I want that ball moving. The other thing that you could do, and now that I'm kind of looking back at my notes, and then I'll kill this because it's 9:59. When you are getting ready to, if you're writing an offer, is you can always extend the escrow period. Though I don't necessarily love to do that. Buyers tend to get cold feet. People say, "Is this going to happen?" I don't know. You could shorten the contingency periods, but extend the escrow period. Oh, hey, this is the 10-day freaking, oh, you guys need to move out, 4 months from now. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to do a 60-day escrow, and then we're also going to do a 60-day rent back for free. And then that way we'll perform on all of our contingencies in 10 days. You will live in your house. We'll just sit there waiting for the clock to tick. And then on day 60, we'll close escrow. And then you'll have 60 more days to rent back. So there are always creative ways that you can structure something to make it work, but you want to find out what is the compelling reason. What is important to your seller? What's making that person want to sell? Where are they going? How can you make this escrow as easy as possible for that agent, et cetera, and so forth? How can you honor their timeline without killing your budget? All of that different stuff, okay? That is the whole, that's it for the day. If you want to take your screenshots so that you don't have to necessarily take notes. But don't forget about the bird in the window. Okay, it is 10:01. We're going to kill it. I appreciate the immediate feedback on the audio. Thank you, guys. I don't know exactly what happened. This is what is it today? Today's day freaking 41, day 42. I don't even know what today is anymore. But we've got the grand opening coming up here on Thursday. We'd love to see you. Feel free to come by the office. If you have any questions about anything that came up here, my number's on the bottom of the screen, my friends. Text me first. I'm autistic. I don't like to have my phone on ring. It bothers me. Or come by the office because I'm always here hanging out, working on things. Okay, cool. Good to hang out with you guys this morning. I appreciate it. I'm going to send it to Commission Boot Camp. I'm going to turn this thing off. I'll stick around on Zoom for just a minute to answer any questions that anybody has. Everybody have a great day. I hope to see you at the grand opening on Thursday. Adios.